So somewhere on Madge's journey, her hand throttle has become disconnected. You'll notice here is a cable which should attach to the accelerator pedal assembly there, and if we move slowly here, this is the hand throttle, which is actually in the wrong place. Needs to be the other way up, so that the thumb throttle is on the right hand side and easily managed. I don't think this is the best place for it, but we'll have a look at that. The cable runs from this hand throttle, here it is, through the dashboard and comes out of a hole here in the bulkhead and should connect to this here, so that we can operate the throttle from the steering wheel. Why? Come back to that later. And some of them have a mounting here on the steering column, but not this one. What we need is something for this to pull against, so we're going to make a new bracket for this chap to pull against with an adjuster just about here. There's some convenient bolts down here which I should be able to locate it on and are easily accessed from inside. So, having had a rummage in my bits and pieces of metal box, I've found a couple of pieces. I think the thinner gauge one, the piece on the right, is probably more usable than the piece on the left, but I'm just going to offer them both up, and then I'll make a decision about which piece I'm going to use to make a bracket for that hand throttle cable to pull against. Here we are, one bracket, and that should now fit onto the Morgan, and Madge is going to have a new hand throttle very soon. Let's see how it fits. So here we go. The new bracket is in place with an adjuster. The nipples are soldered on. It all fastens underneath that electrical connector there, and we now have a working hand throttle. So Madge the Morgan now has a working hand throttle. So I'm hoping that my down changes will be a lot easier now. I'll explain more about that. So here we are in Madge the Morgan with our newly reinstated hand throttle. Why do we need a hand throttle? Well, as you'll see, we have the normal brake, clutch and accelerator configuration. Accelerator, brake and clutch. However, the brake only works, the foot brake only works on the front wheels. So when you're changing down from third to second, you want an engine braking, you have to pull on the handbrake, which works on the rear wheel. At the same time, you need to be double D clutching, shifting into neutral, clutch down again, shifting into second, all of which also requires a blip of the throttle. Now, I haven't got enough hands or feet to drive this car. The advantage of the hand throttle is that I can now blip the throttle for the down changes and dial a bit of speed in for the down change, a bit of power in for the down changes, whilst still being able to operate the clutch, operate the foot brake on the front wheels, operate the hand brake. Now, I could do with a third hand because I also need to take my hand off the handbrake to do the changes, and then back on the handbrake when I've made the change. So that's from third, dip the clutch into neutral, to second, dip the clutch again, second, and then back on the handbrake for slowing down. But now I've also got the engine braking. There we are, Madge the Morgan, newly reinstated hand throttle. We'll see how that goes tomorrow.